The Prison City Podcast will be starting shortly. Please take a moment to acknowledge the following sponsors of the Prison City Podcast, the best podcast on planet Earth. Prison Pizza. Come on down for the best pizza you've ever had in your entire fucking life. Every pizza has been made perfectly every single time, has been delivered in perfect time, and it has the perfect price point with the perfect amount of toppings and the perfect amount of sauce. There's never ever been a single pizza in the history of Prison Pizza that was not anything short of fucking perfect. Come on down to Prison Pizza, check out our salad bar too, and 406-846-4800 Prison Pizza for life. Fuck you. The Adventures of Pete and Kit, folks, is now available on YouTube for free. It's the all-time, old-fashioned classic about two brothers living in northern Idaho that just get into all kinds of fun and trouble. Tons of fun. It was written by Matthew and Kelly Cutler, official members of Prison Fuck Me, and Patrick Cutler edited and produced it. The Adventures of Pete and Kit. More fucks and F words than you can imagine. Just search The Adventures of Pete and Kit on youtube.com or look up the Cutler Brothers Production YouTube page and find The Adventures of Pete and Kit there. It's really, really fucking funny. Das Fruit Improv Comedy, possibly the best and funniest improv comedy team on planet Earth, is looking for new bookings for the 2022 season. Go to dasfruit.com if you want to book the funniest fucking improv team on motherfucking planet Earth. Das Fruit. If it's not funny, then at least you'll get offended. What are we looking at here, Bob? Oh, nothing, Pete. Just the best fucking pizza you'll ever have in your entire fucking life. Prison Pizza, 406, 4 something something. I don't fucking care. Prison Pizza. Hi, I'm the local dentist here in Deer Lodge, Montana. There's a dick on my face, isn't there? Fuck Pat Cutler, he's nothing but a sexist piece of shit. Fuck that guy. Mad Dad, the family-friendly comedy that everyone sits around every Easter and watches. It was originally written by Kelly Cutler, directed and edited by Patrick Cutler, and stars Matthew Cutler, Martin Reinbold, who just got out of prison, and a couple other people. Mad Dad, a good old family-friendly comedy that can now be found on Amazon Prime. Search Mad Dad and you'll just laugh your fucking balls off. It also stars Prison City Podcast member Mahomes, who currently lives in Omaha, Nebraska, so let's go Cornhuskers, yeah! Ladies out there, I now present you a picture of God himself. Say one more fucking thing about Prison Pizza, and let's see what happens.
I mean, I understand there's no good segue from what he just said.
Just be professional, text me back whenever I message you, show me your tits.
Once again, there it goes.
This disease or that disease or aliens coming down and taking over.
No shit.
I got hot milk in my area wanting to bang.
Sexual experience.
No, you don't know Pat well enough. I can see how someone might be like, fuck this guy. Why is he saying that to me?
Oh no, she's out.
Gee, what the fuck?
But we are certainly not back on track.
No, you guys were acting like you couldn't hear a word I was saying.
I told him I shouldn't park in a handicapped spot, and that was his response.
Oh, then I think maybe I can't with you, man. You can't tell me that you're all pissed at someone when you hit him with that stuff.
And this all happened in 10 minutes? No wonder she got offended.
Did you just yes and that shit? Yes and?
They're so fucking worthless.
Welcome to the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
Welcome back, folks, to the Prison City Podcast. We are live once again from Deer Lodge, fucking Montana. Great show we have here for tonight. We're going to look at a lot of conspiracies. That was probably the first time I want to say in about a month that we were able to get the initial video to play. And I forgot a lot of the stuff in there. Haven't seen it in a while. So, last week we were live in Pittsburgh. I had some family stuff out there going on and some stuff going on with Redgate and whatnot. Now I'm back downtown Georgia, my regular spot in my office here, headquarters of the Boycott Pat Cutler movement, and the Redgate studios here are currently located here. We're going to talk about the most bizarre conspiracies here on planet Earth, some weird ones, and yeah, it's great to be back. And tonight, for our special viewers, only viewers of the Prison City podcast going to hear this right now, but we have an official release date for the Redgate film, and I'm going to be announcing that here. Actually, I'll announce that right now. August 26th, 2032, it will be finally out on VHS. Actually, August 26th this year, August 26th, it's a Friday. We're going to release it. A lot of work to do on that. Still get that out to a ton of people, but I have a plan and everything. It's going to be fucking nuts when we finally get it out there. So let's go right to the guy always leads off the lineup here, Mahomes.
That's great, man. August 26th, 2032. That's plenty of time. I really like the idea of doing like a VHS because it'll be so old that it's like trendy again. You're always thinking, man. You're always thinking. To your point, though, we hadn't seen that video in a while, and I just don't really understand the random like local dentist thing in there. That always makes me chuckle just because it's like so random.
Yeah, that's pretty. There's some stuff in there still. It's like this. That intro makes no fucking sense. Kelly, welcome to the show tonight. Oh,
Thanks. Excited to be back. What'd you say?
I was like, oh, are you in trouble there?
No, I'm gonna be the guy eating dinner this time.
Someone asked
Make sure you chew right into the fucking mic.
I plan on it.
I'm excited to be here. Mahoney, looking at your little pad there, I'm getting PTSD. I wish I could come over and sleep on that bed behind you.
By all means, you're welcome whenever you like.
Glad to be back.
Yeah. Matt, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Mahoney. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, Cousin Sherry. Hi, whoever else is out there listening. I can't wait to dive right into these conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of live viewers anymore since the Roe v. Wade episode hit.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, not surprising that no one wanted to hear about that, but who knew?
I don't know if it's so much surprising that that one was the one that kind of lost our live viewers, or the fact that our biggest live viewer was from Canada. Like, that never made any sense to me.
I was like, Roe v. Wade doesn't even affect you, you fucker in Canada.
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
Come back, you fucker from Canada.
You motherfucker from Canada. And
I'm assuming he's not on right now. He or she, I guess. He or she.
I'm really hoping that Drew doesn't no longer has a life tonight, so he can actually tune in and say something.
Yeah, come on, Drew.
Get on here, Drew.
Hey, Pat, I like all your promo for Prison Pizza yet. Prison Pizza's not even open right now. But thanks anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to have to switch that up. Actually, that's actually going to be, pretty much dead. Actually, just dead already. And the reason that is we no longer own it. We no longer have the building that we own that's where it takes place. And that doesn't work there anymore. None of this, me and Kelly haven't worked there in like a year almost. It was fun for a while, but I think the war on prison pizza is probably going to die down.
I like how the war on prison pizza started after we sold everything. It's like Pat's like the governor or whatever of France, and then he moves to fucking Germany and declares war in the name of France. It's like, what? How dare you talk down on France?
Yeah. I don't know. I saw... Honestly, a lot of things I see like a trigger point, and I have no clue why there is a trigger point with prison pizza, but people in Deer Lodge, Montana get fucking triggered on it. Like, triggered. Like, explain that. Explain that to like an outside viewer.
I hear the new prison pizza is actually going to have safe places for people to get triggered by prison pizza. So it'll be like a bubble around a booth that you can eat your pizza without worrying about prison pizza or posting on Facebook about it.
That's genius. I mean, you have to just think of everyone, right? You know, and basically all you'd have to do, like, I bet everyone would be sitting in there eating, everything's fine, and someone says like Pat or Cutler, and then they'd have to go into that safe space.
God.
And you can smoke weed in those safe places.
Yeah. I'm just here to give you a little pat on the back. Did you just say Pat?
Yeah. I was thinking, like, if I like actually owned a restaurant like that in Deer Lodge, I'd have like boycott Pat Cutler t-shirts, War on Prison Pizza t-shirts, and just keep them up and sell them.
And prison pizza.
Yeah, so let's go to our first conspiracy guys of the night. I'm going to show you this one. Share my screen here.
If it's the fucking moon, I'm turning this bitch off.
He said it was new conspiracies.
Yeah, so here it is. Yeah, walks on a set, the first guy in history that literally kills someone on a movie set and faced no consequences whatsoever.
Hey, always be closing. Didn't he teach you that?
Always be closing. With Matthew McConaughey doing his speech at the White House this weekend, people were going, it was kind of trending on Twitter, Alec Baldwin. They're like, why didn't have Alec Baldwin come out there and speak about guns? So I thought it was funny. What do you think about that? I mean, don't you think he would at least gotten investigated for like negligence or something? Like he just like murdered someone on a film set.
Well, is there, I mean, I guess that's a conspiracy in itself, but is there some type of, what's the backstory on that whatsoever? Does anybody know?
Yeah, the backstory, I don't even have to look up because I've kind of done my own investigation to it. The backstory is he was given a gun. So on these sets, there's always like gun experts, obviously, if you're shooting like guns and shit. And the thing I don't like, and there's no fucking reason for this whatsoever, is a lot of these guns, they're like real fucking guns. So you know, like the gun we bought from Mad Dad?
Mm-hmm.
That was a gun, that was a blank gun. And it had a plug on it, a black, well, it's red or orange. We painted it black, but it had, so when you shoot it, like nothing can come out of the fucking barrel, like nothing. So what they do on these Hollywood sets though is they use fucking real guns and they put blank bullets in there. Well, if there's any fucking debris or anything in the fucking barrel, when you shoot a blank, that shit flies out. Like that's what happened with Brandon Lee on the set of The Crow. And what happened is the same fucking thing again. He shoots a gun with a blanket on it on set and fucking kills somebody.
Yeah, that's crazy to me because we've used blank guns in our shows from all the way back to $3 bill, right? Which was in 2002 or 2001. And I mean, even if debris flies out of the end of the gun and it pops that cork off, how much debris is coming out where it actually kills somebody? I mean, I'm not a gun expert, but I'm thinking like it's grains of sand or grains of bullet. I mean, maybe I'm being, blasé about it or whatever, but how much can come out of the end of a fucking barrel to actually kill somebody? Was this just a coincidence that it just hit this person just perfect in the throat? Or, I mean, what's the explanation there?
Actually, sorry, there was no debris. Baldwin actually killed this person with a live bullet in the gun. Sorry, I messed that part up. Yeah.
So really, that's not on him unless he like loaded the live bullet, which seems very unlikely. That's like the prop expert or the gun expert or one or the other, like put a live one in the chamber, and that's what
on
happens.
Accident.
I'm assuming.
I would say, how the fuck does that fucking happen? Because I mean, you're on.
I'm trying to watch Baldwin's reaction to this whole thing.
I was gonna say, we've been on movie sets before, and they take forever just to set up a shot. So what the hell? I mean, how do you fail your job that bad?
Right. And again, I'm not a gun guy whatsoever, but I definitely know the difference between a blank shell and that metal tip that's sticking out of the end that could potentially kill someone. So that doesn't make any sense. It seems like maybe it was set up, or then again, it's down in, where'd that happen? New Mexico, Pat?
Oh yeah, this is like in New Mexico. So here's what happened. It doesn't sound like they even had a fucking gun guy on the set. David Halls, the assistant director, gave Alec Baldwin the gun, and he did not check the gun before rehearsing the scene because he was convinced it held dummy bullets.
I mean, that's one you're going to have to check. You're about to shoot the gun. Like, maybe, it's fine.
Well, yeah. These things don't have corks on them. That was my point. Like, the one we have has a cork on it, but these ones aren't. They're regular guns.
But even so, my question is, why the fuck would there why was there an actual bullet on set, let alone near the prop gun that shoots blank bullets? That doesn't make any sense. Like, that is a big, big fuck up.
Huge, monumental. That's like, it's like when you're you throw a fake grenade and you go ahead and just give them a live one and pull the pin. Like, it's that dumb.
Do I need to check it? No. Go ahead. It's good. You don't need to
Go ahead.
By the way,
yeah, and that's how. Yeah.
Well, that's probably why it's our first conspiracy that we're talking about. I don't know what theories are out there, but just dealing with blank guns for the last 20, 25 years, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. We got a blank gun right now in our theater in the blank gun spot, and never has there been real bullets anywhere near that fucking thing, let alone probably not even in the theater.
Unless Dan Hiley is there.
I just don't. Yeah, I really don't. I was always like hearing whatever. I didn't pay a ton of attention to it because it just sounded like a terrible accident. But the fact that the person who didn't even check the gun, like, I'm sure it's fine. What are you doing? Did you just hate the actor that he was aiming the gun at? Like, what is going on with that?
Yeah. Now, Mahomes, do you remember back talking about gun safety back during the plays Seven Brides for Seven Brothers? There's a guy, we weren't even shooting the guns. He gave a speech on it. What was that like?
That was I think we had. I don't even know if there was guns on the stage at that point. But it was a Western where we had a bunch of like fake toy guns, like I wouldn't even call them prop guns. And then, we all of a sudden got sat down and talked about putting the safety on and how even these toys aren't toys. And it was a whole to do.
I don't think we had a single real. I think that some of them were even plastic.
I think some of the like shotguns were like the ones that you get from the toy store that you pull the plug and like a little cork thing on a string is on there. Like they were very fake.
He's like, well, you can kill an elk from 10 feet with a rubber band gun, Mahoney.
Do you think there might have been some debris in some of those plastic guns though?
Yeah, probably. I actually heard that was the gunman on the grassy knoll had one of those plastic guns, and that's what happened.
I think one or two of them might have been like a super, super, super old fucking gun that haven't been able to do anything in like 50 years or something. That's why to me it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and you couldn't even load it. You couldn't cock it back. Nothing. We still have that gun. But being a small theater in Montana, I just wonder how many things have to go wrong for this to happen. Okay, we've used a blank gun before. Generally, 90% of the time, it's just firing it for the sound effect, for the shock value or whatever the sound. If we ever have to use it where we're actually shooting someone, you are never pointing it at the person. You're always a foot to the left or a foot to the right or to the ground or whatever. It's just how many and this is a Hollywood set where they should have the best of the best of the best. It just doesn't make sense. Like, we don't even fuck around with blanks. Like, we know there's a blank in there. We know we're shooting someone. Most of the time, we're just using a fake gun, and there's a sound effect off stage where you're pointing it at the ceiling. This just does not make sense for a professional Hollywood set whatsoever.
Okay, you want to Did you want to hear what the laws are on this? Just out of
Yes.
curiosity.
I mean,
So-
yeah, someone should be in trouble for sure.
So as we know, all states have different laws. Even though we absolutely know who possessed the weapon, who discharged the weapon, and who caused the death of a human being, it would fall under the excusable homicide statute. So the again, it's how ridiculous that gets. The excusable homicide statute is a law in New Mexico. Excusable homicide just means that it's not a crime to kill someone by accident or misfortune in doing any lawful act by lawful means with usual and ordinary caution without any lawful intent. It makes sense of that one.
That's
So,
why. That's why I fucking love theater and entertainment, man. There's so many laws that only apply to entertainment. That sounds like a parody law. Like, well, yeah, we stole your entire script, but in one scene, this guy farts, so it's a parody. You know, it's like we are governed by our own set of laws.
it sounds to me like the whoopsie poopsie law. Like, well, I didn't mean to shoot him. So, oh gosh. So that sounds like maybe New Mexico is the best place to accidentally kill someone.
Well, you know what the fucked up part of it is? It's really fuck. I don't know. I wish I would see the fucking scene of what they're doing, because he didn't even kill an actor. He killed a cinematographer. So yeah, that's so. Now you're thinking like, how did you kill the cinematographer? Like, when you point the gun right into the I don't understand what the fuck the scene was.
Well,
about.
that makes more sense to me, because, like I just said, if we're shooting someone on stage, you're never pointing the gun directly at them. So if he's pointing a foot to the right,
Yeah, so you
and there's a cameraman back there,
yeah, you don't point it at them, you point it at someone else. That's what you do.
Unless, like, were they trying to get a shot of like him holding the gun and the cinematographer was like trying to do that and then he pulled the trigger? Like, I guess I don't get it at all. The more I hear about it, the less it makes sense.
I was gonna say, how many times did they have to take that shot? You know, cinema, they shoot everything like 10 times. I was like,
I'm guessing they shot up until someone was dead.
Yeah. Something tells me, Matt, that they only got one shot on this one. This was a one taker.
And they're like, we'll edit it in post.
Yeah.
And one shot, another person was actually injured in the hospital. So it actually sent two people to the hospital. One just didn't make it, obviously. But yeah, it's weird. Like, he feels so terrible. And then you have this headline, Alec Baldwin and Rust producers seek to stop lawsuit for the shooting, like, of killing of a person on a set. Defend the safety measures before shootings on Alec. Let me pull this thing up, actually. So this is where you're like, okay, do they actually really feel sorry for what they did? It was the worst day in his life, but he's going to fight like fucking hell to actually get any type of lawsuit going at him. Oops, this is the wrong one.
what the fuck? Spoiler
Trust-
alert.
Here it is. Rust producers defend safety measures for shootings in Alec Baldwin film. Contesting sanctions by New Mexico for alleged workplace safety violations of the set Rust. How can you even contest a challenge? $137,000 fine against the company. And that's a lot, because this is actually a low budget independent film that a guy who was friends with Baldwin or something asked him to come on the set and kill this girl he didn't really like. No. But yeah, this thing's fucked beyond all measure. It's just like, it's ridiculous. Like, what safety measures were followed if a live round was put into a gun and you're told one of the actors to go ahead and safely fire the fucking gun?
Yeah,
Like, what?
None. There's this. I can't think of a more open and shut, like, everyone should get sued case in my entire life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, we've been doing theater for 20, 25 years now, and yeah, we're on a different level, but we fired plenty of guns on stage, and I can't think of one single injury. I mean, I think the worst thing that's ever happened from a blank gun was in Calamity Jane, and I was firing it again just for a sound effect on stage, and I fired it near my leg, and it flew, it put like black marks on the bar that I was standing next to. But I mean, to kill and then injure another, to me, it sounds like Baldwin just went on a fucking rampage, and now they're trying to cover it up.
Because they called it shootings in that article. Like,
he was shot twice. Like, man, that's a live bullet. Is this one live too? Yeah.
My thing is when he injured multiple fucking people. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
I heard the multiple. I thought it was just from a single shot. Like they were standing close together or something.
He killed someone. Wait a minute. Are these real bullets? Just shoots another person. Well, yeah, they are.
It was actually like it was an old Tommy gun from like the 1920s that he was shooting.
No, they're blanks.
Imagine if Baldwin wasn't like a diehard left-wing guy, like what the reaction would be, because like this is a guy that has a huge history with anger issues. Like all these voicemails, remember the voicemails he left to like his ex-wife, was Kim Basinger, all that shit. Like he's been caught on tape just going nuts on people. Like the guy has a pretty long history of like borderline behavior when it comes to anger and shit.
Yeah. Well, I love Alec Baldwin's acting, so I forgave him immediately.
I mean, I understand that, like, if I'm in the lawsuit, like, that's the guy you're going after because he's got the money and that's the famous one. But, like, if you're an actor, you have to trust that if I was him and I was that famous, I wouldn't just assume that they didn't give me the proper weapon. Like, I'm sure in all the stuff he's done where he's held a gun, he's never been like, I should probably check to make sure there's not real bullets in here, because that he shouldn't have to worry about that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it at all. It's just fucking weird.
Well, again, I'll repeat it. Like being I don't know shit about guns, but especially the older I get, I'll look at like our blank gun all the time. Okay, we're firing it. It's loud. There's clearly, gunpowder and shit in it. And now I've learned probably the last 10, 15 years, what an actual bullet looks like compared to a non-bullet, a blank bullet. And yeah, if I'm going to shoot somebody on stage, I'm definitely not pointing the weapon at them. And I think I'm going to just look at the gun a little bit before I pull that fucking trigger.
Little red dots, you put it right on the tower for his head.
So, moving on to the next conspiracy on the docket. After we just spent 30 fucking minutes on Alec Baldwin, was not really even on my list tonight.
Oh, well, why did you start with a picture of him if it wasn't on your list?
I figured I'd show one picture we talked about for like 5 minutes and move on. But
we were ready to go. We were dive deep.
This next one is kind of interesting. So, as you know, I was out in Pennsylvania this past week, and when we were out there, I discovered that we were not far from the Flight 93 Memorial, which is a really cool place to check out. And this one, we've heard this. I've had a guy that works for the Air Force even tell me this, that the plane for Flight 93, it wasn't taken down by the passengers and all this stuff, and that in reality, it was actually shot down because the other two planes hit the two towers, and at that point, they're like, they know this plane is coming, and they know it's going to the White House because they know from the flight patterns at that point what was going to happen. And a lot of people thought that the plane was actually shot down in this field in Pennsylvania, and it's kind of an interesting one. But I was gonna say, like, the thing that I would say that's most telling is that it was 20 minutes away. So, like, if you don't know the state of Pennsylvania, it's not huge like Montana, but they're in Western Pennsylvania, and the rest of the state's only 20 minutes away to DC. It really makes you wonder, how they're able to take it down, how were they able to take it down in this field and everything. So What did you think about that conspiracy as we wait for Nimble Nuts to take his 500 shit of the day?
Me, I guess my face is on the camera. I've read about it. I don't know. I guess this is the one that I could be most convinced like that the government could have potentially done something like that on that day. I've looked at like kind of the debris field, and it's not, if they did it, it looks as if they like took it down by disabling the engines, because the way it like, basically they could have just blown it up in the air and there would have been stuff all over the place, right? So if they wanted to make it not look like they did that, you would shoot the engines off and then there'd be a big hole in the ground like there was. And I'm not super great in my Pennsylvania geography, so that's certainly news to me that it's that close. And I mean, who knows? I'm sure they probably happened to put it down in the field that was kind of not really by much of anything. So I don't know. Of all the like 9/11 conspiracies, this is the one I could most be like, yeah, I guess that one makes sense.
Oh yeah, and the thing I went through the whole thing, and they had the radio transmissions on there saying pull it down, because they were getting overwhelmed from the crew. The crew 100% attacked the cockpit. There's no doubt about that. And they kept yelling, pull it down, pull it down. I still try to make sense out of that. If you're a terrorist, Kelly, you're trying to kill these people, would you pull the flight down? And again, these guys studied the geography of the U.S. for a long time, so they know where the fuck they are, and they're not by any people or anything, not close to the White House. We're 20 minutes away in the air. If you were to drive from that area to the White House, I think it's like 5 hours driving, 5.5 hours, something like that driving. Does that make sense for the terrorists to just pull it down and crash it because they know they're going to get overwhelmed? Like, why would they do that, or what?
No, 100%. It was shot down by the U.S. military, 100%, or the U.S. Air Force, I should say. But I shouldn't say what I find funny, but all the movies that came out about 9/11, they're all about that flight 93. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, all these movies that came out. And I went to the movie theaters a year or two after these films came out. They were like ready-made, apparently. And, it was really freaking emotional. It's like, holy shit, they broke into the cockpit and took this flight down. I mean, there's a small percent that actually happened, like that the crew and the passengers took that flight over. And of course, if you don't have an actual pilot that knows what he's doing, there's a good chance you're going to fly that thing into the ground. But I don't know. I'm just convinced that didn't happen the way that they said it happened. And for honestly, it's for obvious reasons they had to bring that flight down. I mean, you're not just going to let it fly into. That was headed for the White House, I think they reported.
Yeah, it was only 20 minutes away from the White House where it was taken down. So I mean, how much closer? Surprised. How much fucking closer can you get? Like, how much?
I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Yeah. No, and they said, and again, I think they're giving them a fair shot because at this point, like the timing of it, it was pretty obvious what was going on at this point. After the first one fucking hit, they're on red alert. You guarantee they're on red alert going, okay, fucking let's look at all the flight pattern. There is some, I can't remember. I wish I would have just recorded the stats and stuff from this place, how many planes were in the fucking air at that. I want to say like 450, but it might be like way higher. They were told to ground all the planes immediately by the nearest airport that they're at. I wonder what happened to those people who were like flying to like San Francisco or something. They got grounded in like Omaha, Nebraska. Like, where they just like, all right, here, we'll put you on a Greyhound. I don't know. But like,
I'm going to be delayed. And people are dying in New York.
What
I'm saying, though, is, I know I made a joke, but anyway, what I'm saying, though, is this back in, early 2000s. People on freaking flights, they didn't fucking know what was going on. Were grounded. They didn't find out till probably fucking afterwards. They're like, oh, shit. We just tried to, dodge the bullet there.
And here's the timing of this whole fucking thing, which is really interesting. If you're looking at like a city to go to, this was an hour away from Pittsburgh on the road driving. So in flight, what is that? Like 10 minutes away from, probably 5 minutes away from Pittsburgh. So if you were like concerned that you were not going to be able to like survive, why wouldn't you turn the plane back around and try to like fucking nail downtown Pittsburgh or something like that? Like driving around in this geography, because I drove out there for like a week. I'm really familiar with Western Pennsylvania. There's hills everywhere, and there's fucking like townships like all along these hills everywhere. You can still get, it's weird because you can actually get lost in these little hills, but you'll eventually find a road or something. But like there's definitely, I mean, there's fields here and there, but like I swear it's almost mostly just hills, trees, and fucking townships. And they happen to find like a perfect field in the middle of nowhere to like just ground the thing.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the most like, if you wanted to point to a piece of evidence that like makes it seem the most logical, is if they did get overrun, but like a terrorist was still behind the wheel, I guess, as it were, and the joysticks, whatever the hell they have up there, that they would just try and like, yeah, you can make the argument that they're just going to kill everyone in there because they're terrorists and that's what they're trying to do, but they would probably just find a town or, you know, like something where they could have more casualties than just, because the minute they walked into that plane, they planned on killing everyone in that plane plus some.
Yeah, and you should seriously drive out in like Western Pennsylvania. The fact that they were able to crash this thing and basically not hit a single fucking tree, you'd be shocked. Like just getting the geography of that place, it's so fucking weird.
Well,
yeah.
I just got to say one thing about, you know, flight. You know, you go up in the air, and I'm always amazed. It doesn't matter if I'm going to Chicago or Seattle or New York. There's so much freaking open land out there. And maybe I know the East is a little bit different because it's so populated, but there's so much land. There's 98% of land. You know, you just stare out a plane window for a 2-hour flight, which you're going, you know, hundreds of thousands of miles, and you don't see shit. You might see lights here or there, but the United States is a big fucking country, bigger than any of us even fathom. And we've all been on flights before. Just like there is seriously acres upon acres upon acres of nothingness. Once again, out on the East Coast, I know there's just town after town after town, but I'm sure there's still a lot of wide open spaces. And 9/11, there's a lot of holes there in general, but that one definitely is like, I think we can all agree, like something happened there that they're not. That's the narrative doesn't match up to what actually happened.
Yeah, so after I went to the memorial, I was like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like proof there that it's like it's pretty convincing that they took over the cockpit, but they didn't take it over because this is the point I tried to make too, is like the terrorists are still in charge of it. So I wish I would have had like an idea of what what was going on in that fucking cockpit, because the terrorists clearly had full control of the plane at that point, because they had to nosedive it, and you can't just nosedive it and smash it in the ground within like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? Like I think it took them like a minute or maybe two or 3 minutes, something like that. So if they're being attacked, they couldn't hold off. And how could nobody could get to the pilot section? Because anybody that knows a fucking plane at all knows that all you gotta do is pull the thing back fucking up, and the plane will go back upwards or whatever. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, I don't know, the whole thing's kind of weird. Like they were in enough control of the plane that they could crash land it, and they decided to give up. I didn't understand that part. No, and especially knowing they are only 20 minutes away from DC, and they're in full enough control of the plane to crash it, but they didn't. I just explain that part to me. That's where it's kind of like. Oh.
Well, here's something I shouldn't think about, but I think about every time I'm on a flight. There's no flight you go on that's less than 100 people. So let's say 100, 200, 300 people are on that flight. I'm always thinking in my head, like, if like the pilot and the co-pilot somehow were incapacitated and someone had to land this plane or fly it, don't you think out of even 100 people, 200, 300 people, isn't there someone on that flight that is taken, like, you know, aircraft 101 or whatever? Like, I'm always like, there's got to be one person who would be the best out of 100 people to land this aircraft. I don't care if they're like really intelligent, if they're a doctor, or if they've actually taken flight lessons. But don't you think there's someone on there that would know a little bit of something?
Well, here's the weird part, and I don't know if you noticed, what I found out is that these terrorists, they strategically got on airplanes, flight routes that had like low amount of passengers for that flight and time. So this aircraft, I think they said it held like 185 people, but there are only a total of 33 passengers on it.
Okay, yeah, well that changes the odds obviously, but let's say us four are on a flight. Do you think any one of us could land an aircraft? I'm going to say no. But
Hell no, man. Have you ever had a time to be like around a legitimate flight simulator?
Yes, and I always crash them.
And like that's not like the ones where it's like you have to have the pedals to like keep it, and you like, yeah, everyone on the plane would be dead if you put me behind that. Like everyone.
Well, what about the movies where some random guy just jumps in the wheels and the tower just guides him through it? You don't think that can happen?
No, I don't. I mean, because movies do a lot of stuff. Like Marty McFly went back to the future and kissed his mom. So I don't necessarily think that's all real.
Yeah, Matt. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you were on that flight and you knew you were gonna crash and burn, would you go for the drink lady? You know what I'm saying? And try to make alcohol so you forget about it.
Hell yeah, I'll take a double.
Where's your credit card? Oh, credit card? Fuck you.
Yeah. How fucked up were the protocols though at that time, where the pilots just fucking open the cockpits with terrorists on board because they're like, we're gonna kill these people or whatever one by one, and it's like today it's like there's no fucking way the pilots open a cockpit.
No, the pilots would be like, all right, kill them. Like, we're gonna fly this plane. Good luck to everyone back there.
And I wouldn't want the pilots to open the cockpit, honestly. If I was on that flight, I'd be like, look, we'll try to defend ourselves back here the best we can, but if you guys go down, we're all going down. We got a chance if you guys are still alive,
Yeah.
So, and I know I shouldn't, this is a terrible thing to be laughing at, but I just have this image in my head of like Matt's on this plane that's going down and everyone's like rushing up to try and like get the terrorists, and he's back there like arguing with the drink lady about why he's not going to pay for the drinks. I just have a very funny visual in my head.
If I was that calm, man, that would be insane.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. I hate, that's why I hate flying. Just thinking about all the shit that can, 99.9% of the time, nothing goes wrong. But just to think if it does, and that's why I look around, I'm like, there's got to be someone on this flight. There's got to be someone that could somehow have a chance at landing this plane out of, 100 people, or even out of 33 people, Pat. Don't you think somebody would be better than like us on this podcast to have a chance of landing a plane?
Oh, 1,000%. One of the things said is on 9/11 terrorist storms.
We're all just fucking morons.
Just worthless and barely drive a car.
Dude, we had a pilot in fucking Alaska because I was up. I was on all kinds of flights in Bush, Alaska, on Bush planes all the time, and there's always just one fucking pilot. And we had this older pilot guy that we had our own airplane to our school district, and he was a really good pilot. He was like so fucking old. I was like, well, what if he has like a heart attack, like mid-flight or something? Like, we're just gonna say you're fucked because those Bush planes they're way more simpler than like a 747. But still, it's like I wouldn't know how to fucking land that thing.
Pat, they come back to us. They're like, can any of you fly this flight? We're like, we're actors.
Yeah. Is there a camera? I can act like I'm going to do it.
Now, how do you pop the wheels out? I'm 3 feet off the ground.
I don't know how, like, you had to have some, like, pants shitting moments in those flights in Bush, Alaska. Like, I don't know how you did that, man.
Some of the flights are fucking insane. I remember one like we just nosedive. We take off in like 50-mile-per-hour winds with like snow going. I was like, are we sure we should be flying? Oh yeah, we'll just get in the air. We'll be fine. I was like, okay, whatever. Like that.
Honestly, Pat, I love you, man, as a brother, but that's honestly why I never came up to Alaska, because I was so fucking scared of flying in one of those little planes. I hate flying, man.
Yeah. No, it's
you crash up there, you're crashing on what, a fucking mountain? You're out in the middle of
It's more tundra, flat tundra or hillside, but like it's you're in the middle of nowhere still. Like there's no
They're like, if we crash this plane, you're gonna wish you died. Middle of nowhere.
I'm gonna go through so the terrorists, they got to the cockpit knowing that the doors would be open early in the flight. And until today, the flight decks used to be fairly fucking open before 9/11 because I guess they didn't think people were going to out of nowhere storm the cockpit with box cutters. I
remember my first flight in 1994, and I flew with my grandma and my brother, and she took us out to a Mariners game, like back in the Kingdom, long time ago. And I remember, because I was pretty young when I was nine then, my first flight. So the pilot walked out of the cockpit mid-flight to give me like little wings, and this is like 94. This is way before 9/11, but like I definitely vividly remember like the pilot leaving the cockpit door wide open, walking all like down to the middle of the plane to give me some like gold wings or that shit would never happen today. And that was like, I also remember, I think I've said this on the podcast before, like my parents got on the plane to like give us a hug goodbye. Like, could you imagine that? There was no security. They just walked right in.
Jeez,
on the plane.
That's crazy. Yeah,
No,
Matt and I were talking about that, our last trip coming back from Seattle. We were just talking about how confident pilots are, and it's like there's hundreds of thousands of these people that do this for a profession. But can you imagine if you just got like the pilot that made the wrong joke or didn't give a shit? That's why I could never be a pilot, because the pilots are just like, hello, yes, folks, we will be landing in Missoula, and it's going to be some heavy winds, but we shouldn't have a problem. We'll be there in an hour, But if you're just like, hey, yeah, we're probably going down, motherfuckers.
You'd get fired for sure.
going down.
Like, you say that like 20 minutes up in the air. Well, no one can get off.
Well, no. So I'm going to share. This adds another wrench into the whole Flight 93 conspiracy. It's interesting as fuck. So they actually had a mission to take down Flight 93. This is a story back in September 2021. 2 fighter pilots are willing to sacrifice their own lives. This is where it's fucking weird to me. How they say why they're called to do a suicide mission to crash into the plane. Which I'm kind of just confused why they would just crash into the plane. But let me go to fighter pilots with Air Force One scrambled to find and take down Flight 94, which is likely destination United States. They were in a meeting when they heard of the second target being hit. So we knew we needed to get airborne to protect and defend our nation. We are a fighter unit based out of Andrews Air Force, where Air Force One flies out of. We are here in District Columbus. We've got Congress, we've got White House, blah, blah, blah. So they actually took off. Let me see. Okay, so in 2001, there were a few F-16s that sat fully armed with missiles. This is fucking weird. So Penny's jet was completely unarmed. Once they found Flight 93, Sassville would ram the front of the plane. The one pilot would ram the front of the plane, and the other pilot would take out the tail. There's aerodynamically, without the tail, airplanes cannot stay airborne. They actually tip over and dive straight to the ground, kind of like Flight 93 did. They scoured the air above Pennsylvania, but the 2 firefighters given an unthinkable mission ultimately didn't have to take down the flight passenger on board. So they ultimately never went out to take down the flight. Let's see, I was looking at So that's that. What do you think of that? That's kind of a weird.
What do you mean by suicide mission? Like they were gonna?
Yeah, they're gonna ram their planes into the actual plane to take it down.
You said they didn't have any weapons. Like, don't they just always have bullets in the guns on those things?
Apparently they had no fighter jets ready to go up into the air and take down a plane.
They should have let Alec Baldwin fly a plane. Yeah.
Matt, you beat me to the joke. I was going to say they should have let.
I was going to say that shit too.
The assistant director on Rust.
Alec Baldwin with a gun out the fucking window. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, I thought these were blanks.
That's insane, though. That's insane. Like a suicide mission in America. It's like, isn't there a better solution?
And don't you think they couldn't just be like, I know those fighter jets have eject buttons. Like, get close enough to where you know it's going to hit the plane and then eject, so you don't have to kill yourself too. I don't know. I just feel like that whole thing doesn't make any sense.
Well, you guys have seen those fighter jets, military jets, just take off from, the carriers and stuff out in the ocean or in the Mediterranean Sea or wherever the fuck they are. They probably could be there within 10 minutes, honestly, like from anywhere in the United States. It's just like, zoom, go. So the whole thing doesn't make sense. It was just like, this had to happen the way it did for whatever reason, but it doesn't make sense to me.
My sister was dating back when Great Falls had the jet. They still have Air Force stuff, but it's big planes up there now. And she was dating one of the guys who used to fly these F-18 Hornets or whatever the hell they're called. And he said from takeoff, they could get over Seattle in 20 minutes, which is
that's crazy.
Insane.
From where?
From Great Falls, Montana to Seattle in 20 minutes if they went full speed.
That's fucking insane considering that, like, Missoula, which I believe Missoula's probably closer to Seattle, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's way closer. It's in the car to Great Falls, it's 11 hours.
Like, is it?
Yeah.
So Missoula, flying wise, Missoula to Seattle's like anyway from like an hour 10 minutes to like an hour 30 minutes. Depends on jet winds and stuff like that. So that's fucking crazy that he can get there that fucking fast.
Yeah. So those things, that's what he said. Cause I asked like, how fast could you get to like a major city if you needed to? And that was the example. Like if they scrambled and they all got to like full speed as fast as they could and were breaking the sound barrier.
That's great. The life flight planes I have go super fucking fast too.
Yeah. The helicopters.
Yeah. They fucking fly. Like they're way faster.
I got life flighted from Deer Lodge to Spokane. It was less than an hour, which driving wise, it's over 4.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My middle daughter, she went from Kalispell to Seattle. And I swear that was like less than an hour. Like it was that fucking fast. It was like super fast. The one she got on wasn't a helicopter. It was actually like more like a jet plane, and it was definitely less than like an hour. They fucking flew. That's why it cost me $100,000. But I fortunately was in Alaska because I was in Montana at the time, but my Alaska insurance covers lights flights because we're in a village and every emergency you need a fucking life flight out of there. So it was cool seeing that bill 100% covered by Mr. John Q. Taxpayer. Do you ever get sick of that Republican argument? I'm not picking up the tab for your college loan. Who's the fuck said you would?
I've never asked you to pay for my college. I knew exactly what I was getting into.
No, you asked Mr. and Mrs. John Q. Taxpayer is what you asked.
I actually went up to Jim Buck personally. I said, "Hey, can you pay for some of my loan, bro?"
yeah. Like they act like Mahomes gets his fucking pay stub and at the bottom says Pat Cutler's a college loan debt, $20 this month. That's what they act like. Like, are you? Yeah, I can't stand when they say that. She's like, "You're not. That's not how it works. If loans are forgiven, that's not at all how it fucking works."
Yes.
It's
not like all of a sudden all of us got a free ride from everyone that like does manual labor jobs. That's not what this is.
According to those select few on Facebook, all of us should have become an electrician or some trade school bullshit. You gotta be a doctor or something. Fuck you for going to school or a teacher and wrapping up student loan.
No, it's like, how often, Mahomes, do you go to your local janitor and thank him for picking up your student loan tab?
Not enough, man. Apparently, I don't know. Like that was the whole thing. I don't want anyone like I knew what I was doing. It's not like It's to me, it's the same thing as like I took out a loan to buy my house. I don't expect anyone to be like, well, we're going to go ahead and forgive that loan. But actually, in forgiving that loan, we're going to make everyone else in the country pay for it. Is that okay? Like I knew what it was going to be expensive, and it sucks that I have to pay it. But it's not like I didn't know the contract I was signing. Like it's a loan; you got to fucking pay it. That's how life works.
Student loans, though, you don't. Well, let's get on to another topic.
Student loans, is that a conspiracy?
Conspiracies.
You need to work in construction and have a bit chew in your mouth. Go to a trade school.
I mean, there's some people when I was doing construction, they were all about it. Like, you make good money, especially if you get on like heavy machinery. You make really good money, and you don't have to worry about student loan debt. So, I mean, some of them are laughing all the way to the bank, but they're fucking hard jobs too. There's a reason that they're getting paid money.
The guy in Alaska that never finished our house, that's why I'm divorced. He was
I turned into that guy.
he was like certified electrician. I think he had to do someone else to do the plumbing, but he is certified in all these different areas. If you're like trade school and you're certified as an electrician or like a plumber or some of these spots, depends where you're at, but you can fucking make bank. Like, I mean, you can make really good money. Like, really
not only can you make money, like a ton of money, you can apparently ruin marriages too. And that's like,
he wasn't a certified priest was his problem. No.
Jeez.
All right, let's go on to the next conspiracy.
Yeah, student loans, next conspiracy.
Student loans.
The banking industry.
The truth is, guys, I think we all can admit that Anthony Bourdain did not commit suicide, right?
No, I'm not sure you can. I'm interested to see how you got there.
So I'll pull up this article. I had another one loaded up here, but it's being fucking stupid. So I'll pull this up. So it says Anthony Bourdain, he's found dead July 18th, 2018. Tragic death, the root of suicide. He was in the middle of actually shooting a film at the time. And you look at that picture. Does that look like a guy that was about to commit suicide, Mahomes? No.
I mean, that's suicide has many different faces, so I'm not even going to get down. That's not a wormhole I'm going down with you, sir.
So this guy was the rock star, the culinary, where did all his TV shows. A lot of people really liked him. So what I really wanted to get to was, though, the biggest part of it was he had this relationship to an actress named Asia Argento. And she was like 12 or 13 years younger than him, something like that. And they were up and down. They were both admittedly like, I guess, well, she says they're both depressed. Who knows? We only got her side of it since he's dead, obviously. There's a word that she had been cheating on him and all these different things, and that it kind of drove him over the edge, and that she might have actually killed him, and she's actually been accused of killing him before. Not before, but he's yes. So clearly he didn't commit suicide.
Yeah. Double jeopardy. You can't get accused of the same thing twice.
But I actually want to pull up something that was interesting. So this is interesting on this Asia girl. So Anthony Bourdain joined the Me Too movement. It was a big support of that with Asia, because Asia was one of Harvey Weinstein's. This is where it gets kind of weird. She was one of Harvey Weinstein's victims, actually. So they were big in the Me Too movement and all this stuff. And she reportedly, in August, she had to pay $380,000 after Jimmy Bennett, because she met him when he was 4, and when he was 16, she was accused of sexually assaulting him, or he was 17, sexually assaulting him in a California hotel room after they were on a film shoot or something that day. the bizarre thing of this whole situation is, it doesn't say it here, but the lawyer for the attorney for Asia actually confirms that there was a sexual encounter between the two. But he says it wasn't her fault. But that's fucking interesting as hell, right?
Yeah, it sounds like she's not a great person. I don't know that makes her immediately a killer, but it doesn't sound like she's necessarily the best person in the world.
You think you're one of those? I'm one of those people that kill. Whenever a celebrity dies, there's no way they committed suicide, right?
Well, I didn't know much about Anthony Bourdain, honestly. So when he died and there was so much hullabaloo on Facebook, I was like, no, who the fuck is this? Well, people like really lost their minds over him, and I don't know. I guess I was like, well, I know the name, but I guess I didn't follow him that closely.
Yeah. Well, he was on every single travel channel or whatever channel, CNN. He was on all kinds. He had like 50 shows, right, Mel? I mean, he was fucking big.
Yeah, he was really big, and I remember that I didn't watch him too much because he seemed like I didn't really. I didn't dislike him. I just didn't. His style didn't really interest me that much. But he had one of his, like, I forget what it was, something odd, like Off the Reservation or something with Anthony Bourdain, his like main show, and he was in Montana, so I watched that. I remember it came out not long before he died, actually, and it was interesting because he went to places that I've either been to or seen before. But he's generally kind of like, I don't know, he came off as kind of a prick, like in some of his stuff in general. So then I'm more of a like Guy Fieri guy. He's relentlessly positive. I need that in my life. I don't need some guy who's like smoking and like, I don't know, this pork chop tastes like you could have cooked it better. Who fucking cares, man?
If you see his new movie, Mahomes, Anthony Bourdain Goes to Hell.
If you've seen Anthony Bourdain shows, because my ex-wife used to watch them, before the electrician couldn't get the electricity done in that house. Have you seen?
I need to know. Parts Unknown, not Off the Reservation. I was close.
Parts Unknown was the one that he was famous for. So I used to just watch him every once in a while. But yeah, he was kind of a cocky little prick, wasn't he?
He had like, he didn't have the like type of like personality that you would want someone to be like, invite them into your restaurant, or like go into another country. He kind of put off that like typical, like, I'm a prick American anytime he was like in Rome, or, he just kind of, but he was a rock star because he, for whatever reason.
He came off more as the Barstool Sports founder, does that one bite pizza slice challenge.
Oh yeah, Portnoy.
Yeah, Portnoy, kind of just cocky, arrogant. The guy had tons of experience, though. I mean, he's gotten that point where he gets older, you stop giving a fuck or whatever. And at the end, he really didn't give a fuck, clearly. But
so what's the story on Bourdain? How does the media say he died?
Hung himself on his whole. Let's see.
While he's masturbating.
Who died? Someone died like that.
Yeah, it's Robin Williams.
No, it wasn't. He was
strangling himself.
The theory on Robin Williams was that he was doing some kind of erotic type thing.
The autoerotic asphyxiation is what it's called.
Yeah.
Where I'm not. Just look it up for our viewer out there. If you're watching, Drew, look it up. I'm not going to describe it.
Cause of death, suicide.
Mahoney's like, I'm not going to describe it, but it was a rush.
Hey, you know what my favorite one I saw on Reddit once I started reading was interesting as fuck, was that Ted Bundy's actually innocent.
Well, he said he was, and I believed him.
Yeah. No. Absolutely not.
Well, Robin Williams actually is another conspiracy because, audio erotic asphyxiation. And then, did any of you guys watch that movie that he did apparently, right before he died, where that's exactly what the movie was about?
Yeah, it's like World's Greatest Dad, I think it's called.
Yeah, I actually watched that shit, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly how he died, and that's how his son in the movie dies. I was like, why are these things so fucking weird? Like, did he really just have a passion of getting that story across before that happened to him? It just doesn't make any sense.
I didn't know that. I thought his last movie was like the one where he played the crazy guy in the like that
1 hour photo.
develops the photos.
No, well, I won't say it's his last movie because these celebrities do movies all the fucking time, and they probably do some of them 5-6 movies a year. But one of his last movies was exactly the way that he died, according to the media. And it's like, okay, so he films this movie about this thing, and then he dies that way. Shouldn't that have been like a wake up call to whoever could have maybe prevented that or talked to him about it?
Yeah, I mean, they seem like there are relationship issues going on. But it's hard to get inside that, especially when like I don't know. It's I think he had depression stuff. The weird thing is I still can't figure out how he died. Like it just says he dies by suicide. Well, what how did it happen?
I just did a quick Google search of Anthony Bourdain conspiracy. Easy for me to say, and it ranges from everything that he knew too much about Harvey Weinstein to he was working on a child sex trafficking documentary.
Jesus.
Like there's all sorts of stuff. I think basically if you are like even quasi famous and something happens, there's a conspiracy around it.
Oh, come on, he was cool.
He probably was, and I only saw his on-air personality, and I'm judging him harshly. And that's not what this world's about. We need to be open. So Pat just drops in the most a conspiracy I'd never even heard of, and then just absolutely splits. I appreciate that.
I swear to God, he's either eating or shitting during this podcast.
I mean, guys got to live.
It's like you got an hour and a half for a podcast. You have to do everything.
Well, as soon as Mahoney mentioned audio asphyxiation, Pat went to the bathroom with a rope.
It's changing the tire on the car doing the podcast.
He's doing a quick 5K for some reason.
All right, on to the next one, right?
Yes, I don't know how many more you can have left.
Well, I have a special guest coming on with the initials MF. It has quite a few.
All right, you guys have a great night then.
Here's my next one's kind of interesting.
Kelly must be checking something on his phone because his face is just paused, smiling.
No, I was holding that. For a while.
Humans lived on Mars, but they were later destroyed in nuclear war.
I mean, that just sounds like I see that it's on Newsweek, but that sounds like some a 17-year-old who had just had his first hits of Purple Kush would say. Man, I'm telling you, man, there's a reason it's orange. Nuclear wasteland, bro.
That's a bubblegum, Jim. That looks like a big piece of bubblegum to me.
So here we go. The video shared, this is a TikTok earlier, shared by a user, Crackhead Joe Dirt.
That's the username?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about on this podcast right now.
I think we should dedicate some serious time to this one.
This article get on Newsweek. Someone got paid.
It's a slow news week, apparently.
It's he was just responding to a question. What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind from another user? My theory is that we come from Mars after we drained all its natural resources and destroyed it with nuclear bombs. So this goes a little bit more in depth. He makes a solid point here coming up.
Solid point.
I'm thrilled to hear it.
States this war would have caused a nuclear winter, which is responsible for Mars's popular red color. It has currently been liked more than 230,000 times and shared 10,000 times and been watched over 1 million times. Theory explained by user Crackhead Joe Dirt was put forward in response to the question. Okay, I just did that. He states, Mars isn't naturally red. Want to know what can cause a planet to turn red and change after a couple million years? If enough nukes were to go off on a planet, the first thing that would happen is a nuclear winter. A nuclear winter in its aftermath, a nuclear blast, causing ash that is so thick it blocks out the sunlight. Nuclear winters can last anywhere between 100 years and 1,000, depending on how much ash is in the atmosphere. After all the natural resources are drained off the nuclear winter, the planet turns red from dust. My theory is we've come from Mars and drained all its natural resources in a nuclear war. So what do you think about that? So it's red because of a nuclear war from the dust from the nuclear warheads built up over time.
I don't think I honestly don't think it's that far off, man. If there was a nuclear war to happen on Earth and it destroyed all of humanity, we have this capability, at the press of a button, and not just one button, but several buttons. That's what scares me. But if it happened, we never know it. When all of a sudden Earth becomes the new Mars. I'm not saying that's what happened to Mars. I'm just saying, what if Earth became that because of things we created, and then people millions of years or whatever, thousands of years in the future looked at Earth and they go, I think society used to live here. It's really not that far off.
I think the whole problem with that thing is if he had any other username besides Crackhead Joe Dirt, I think
Exactly.
He's cool.
that is a huge. I mean, who knows? It's maybe something crazy. I think Mars fascinates the hell out of me. I'm very interested to see when we finally get up there and dig into the ground and see what we find. Because someone was like, "There's probably fossil fuels up there." Well, in order to get fossil fuels, that means there has to be fossils. So that implies that there was life up there at some point. So I don't know. There's more far-fetched ones, I suppose. That one's pretty out there, but Crackhead Joe Dirt seems to be blowing up Newsweek, so good for him.
Well, Mahoney, if you really believe that, the universe or the Earth is, what are they saying now, 7 billion years old or whatever, several billion years old. I mean, anything is fucking possible, anything. And that's what scares me again. Nuclear weapons could blow us up this second. No one would even know we were here. We would be Mars in the push of a button from Russia and us, China.
But still, is it unless you're talking about the theory, or Crackhead Joe Dirt talking about the theory of the planets moving closer, but Mars is naturally farther away from the frickin' sun than us. You know what I'm saying? That's why it doesn't get any sun. You know what I'm saying? So it's how do you explain
but people live there in Total Recall.
That's true.
They do. It's possible. What if we lived there in some? Yeah, I don't. I think the idea going on to Kelly is I think that there is a possibility that we reached a certain part of technology, we destroyed ourselves, and then the cycle just repeated itself again. Whether that happened on Mars or whatnot, who knows? So let's move on to my next one. I think
I just thought of a brilliant theory too. What if how we're each year or whatever we're moving closer to the sun? So what if each planet just keeps getting burnt up with evolution? So that wouldn't make sense because Mars is fuck that. No, fuck that. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it does.
But Mars is behind.
I liked where you were going. That's you crackhead Joe Dirt at that thing.
I got one.
Pat's like, I just have 13 more guys, and then we'll get through this.
I got one final one around the horses. Mahomes is gonna fucking love this one. I guarantee it.
I can't wait.
That means you're gonna hate it.
I know. That's exactly what it means.
This is great. Look at this. All right, here we go. Conspiracy theories about 5G networks have skyrocketed since COVID-19. People linking 5G to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is how crazy these have gone. Some activists have gone as far as setting fire to telecommunications towers in Belgium, the Netherlands, and recently in Quebec. A couple from Saint Adelaide has been formally accused of setting fire to 2 cell phone towers. Allegedly, they are behind a wave of fires that damaged at least 7 towers in northern suburbs of Montreal. Fake news concerning 5G spreading at lightning speed on social networks all over about the pandemic being caused by 5G towers. Here's one. They're debunking this. No, 5G is not causing vaccinated people to explode.
Dead white men.
It's spreading like a wildfire. That graphic vax people's heads exploding and combusting.
I mean, this is the shit that like people fall for, man. Heads exploding.
How can you even like read that?
You just walk outside and your head just goes.
And it's like there's people sharing that all over the place. Like, it's just they don't know any better. They're just like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Look, I was gonna say, what kind of service you got in this part? Oh, 5G. Oh,
Yeah, and that's like their head doesn't explode until they hear they have 5G in the neighborhood.
Is that meme with that meme with a guy, that kid's at that computer holding his breath? There's a big vein going down. When you're trying not to make your head explode from the 5G.
Well, and that's kind of like I've read a lot about the meat plants and all the all the frickin' people that are producing the food for this country and shit. They're exploding and they're lighting on fire and all this shit's happening. And I'm just like, is this really going on or whatever? Because I still walk to the grocery store and and people freak out about the prices. Like, spaghetti used to be 99 cents a pack. Now it's $1.06. I'm like, okay.
5G has ruined spaghetti prices.
But I mean, that it scares you to think about, like, if that was actually going on. It's a scary concept. But I'm like, well, I'm living in reality, man, and I'm in rural Montana. If we're not panicking out here, I'm sure you would hear more of it, like in the inner cities. Like, you go to Costco and there's nothing on the shelves. I mean, yeah. I just don't think it's happening.
No. The media, yeah.
And I can tell you guys, I feel really confident because I watched them install a 5G tower just outside my house. And
your head just explodes.
I'm doing just fine.
Well, here's a problem I have with media, and I do have all media. There's not even a right wing can get bad, but it's really all media in general. Is that I've stated this fact a lot. Like, we're projected in I don't know, like it's like 20 years or something like that. We're going to be like, maybe it's like 30 years, 3 to 5 times more richer than we've ever been before compared to now. So it's like, you can talk about inflation, prices of food going up, but we're all becoming like, no one's about to fucking get kicked out of their, I mean, overwhelming majority of people are not losing, are starving on the streets. It's like, that's why I say the people that are freaking out about the prices, then they'll show up with like a fucking, $60,000 truck and all this shit. And you're like, well, you seem to be doing pretty fine, man.
Right. Yeah. It seems like it's just fear tactics all around, and sadly I bought into some of them, a few years ago, but it's like, there's fear tactics on both sides of the aisle, and just that like food prices are insane. And even gas, like so many people freaking out about gas and Joe Biden. I did that, not to get into that whole argument, but it's like, man, I've seen gas this high in my life. Like, until it goes to $8 or $10 a gallon, I'm not really going to fucking lose my mind.
That's pretty fucking high. Yeah.
And even still, it's not, the president just doesn't go, you know what? Fuck these people. Gas is $10. Like, that's not how that works.
I gotta find this video of people's heads exploding from vaccination.
It's not real, man.
It's called The Hills of Eyes.
All right, let's just watch this really quick and just watch the video since I teased it. Here we go. We're gonna watch this video of their heads exploding.
We'll have to put a warning on
This
this.
just got banned.
Yeah,
Oh, there we
for the no one that's watching.
They're trying to put his head out because it's exploding.
What the fuck? It didn't look like it. More like
Lucky.
Oh, fuck me sideways.
Hey, let's go through some more of this. That's the most ridiculous video.
I like this. Might be the dumbest one we've had yet. I don't think it's a might be. This is probably the dumbest one I've ever heard.
Here's this guy. This count paste in bad vaccine takes on January 5th. 5G will launch. It is the day that all vaccinated will drop like flies. If you thought about all those people who dropped in China back in November 2000, I don't know what the fuck that guy's even talking about.
No, he doesn't know what he's talking about either.
Hey, here's the thing. TikTok and YouTube and Facebook will not show you this, Mahomes, but people are spontaneously combusting Israel due to them turning up the 5G today.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Absolutely, no, they're not.
I'll show you another article of how fucking crazy this shit is. What is 5G paranormal? Nashville bombing renews conspiracy theories. This is in 2020 Christmas. A Tennessee man who federal investigators say detonated a bomb in downtown Nashville on Christmas Day may have been paranoid about 5G technology. They say now, looking into his history, alleged 5G paranoia motivated the bombing. So he was killed in the bombing, aware of the things online. So people are fucking bombing places because they think 5G is, hey, there's Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah, it's a good spot there.
Yeah, go check it out.
But yeah, that's where I get a little bit concerned. Like if you're honestly like bombing places because you think your head's gonna explode from a cell phone tower.
I mean, yeah, that's just you're not like you have lost grip with reality. Like the internet has fried your brain so much that you're like, that's like
yeah.
It's the 4G internet that ruined you into thinking the 5G is going to make your head explode. And it could very well be the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And I've heard some dumb shit.
Like I'm a big fan of like natural like healing and stuff to a certain extent. Like there's this thing called grounding where you take off like your bare feet and just walk on the ground and get sunshine, like natural stuff like that, meditating, things of that nature. But like where I draw the line is frying up citrus leaves in a pot and making this weird juice, which someone I know, I won't say your name, and then pouring it and straining it into a cup. And you drink that and that will beat COVID on its own.
Yeah, no, they have science, but whatever, you know what? I'm not gonna be a dick. Whatever people want to believe, whatever makes them feel good, do that. Except you're an absolute fucking moron if you think 5G is gonna make your head explode.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about Kurt Cobain on this episode, but yeah, that would have been a long one. That one actually was really fucking interesting. But I
love that story too. Not that how he died, but it's very interesting. I've read into that too.
That one's way more interesting than Anthony Bourdain, to tell you the truth. But I didn't say interesting. I said bizarre conspiracy theories. The Kurt Cobain one we could spend probably like 45 minutes on or something. There's like an entire site dedicated to how was it a Courtney Love?
Courtney Love, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things in that one were really fucking weird. Like that one, the Robin Williams one, I don't believe he was doing some tantric sex thing or whatever. I really don't. There's a lot of science that he was having like a fucking brain tumor pushing up on his brain, and there's a lot of science behind like his death. He wasn't. I just don't believe in the thing like that he was trying to get off on some weird choke thing. I really don't. I think he was losing his fucking mind. But Kurt Cobain, you're welcome on the show anytime, man. Next week we'll see you there.
All these people that kill themselves, why don't they just, do like Chris Farley and just overdose? I mean, no questions asked, right?
I got to tell you, something tells me they're not like in the right frame of mind to be making that kind of decision.
So yeah, There was a show on True TV or something. No, it was probably some random channel on Dish Network, and it went through like celebrity deaths that ended bizarrely, like suicides and stuff like that. They went through like Michael Jackson, his death. They went through Robert Williams' death. They went through that girl that had Anna Nicole Smith's death, and they like used actual science and investigation stuff to go through and be like, did he actually get murdered? Did blah blah blah. And they actually use like fucking science to show exactly what happened. So like, okay, that's what happened. Whereas, Kurt Cobain, science isn't going to prove anything. So it's just everyone knows what happened. It's just like, did it happen the way that everyone thinks it happened?
Well, once again, it's the 90s, man. I don't think people questioned shit as much back then,
Yeah. Now that one's worth a gander, but not enough time here unless we want to stay on for another 5 hours. I got to put my kids in bed.
Cobain dies back in the 90s. When are you going to hear about it in fucking Montana? Probably in Life magazine or something. Well, probably on the news or something. But.
Well, forensics in 26 fucking years or 28 years or whatever, forensics is far different today than back then. Like, it's night and day. It's fucking crazy. Right? I mean, all those Gacy old bodies are identifying now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, let's fucking round those horses and wrap this thing up, guys. We'll start with Matt.
Yeah. So if 5G hasn't exploded anyone's head lately, I think probably on the same boat as Mahoney. That's probably fake news, but I don't know. I'd say the biggest
I like how you're still open to the possibility.
Biggest shot out of the night is crackhead Joe Dirt. That's probably the best name I've ever heard of someone who's doing a theory on Mars, and it got published. So I don't know how the fuck that article made it that far, but kudos to him.
Yep. And let's go with Kelly.
Yeah, these weird conspiracies. I like I said, just a couple of years ago, I would look deep into certain conspiracies like this 9/11 shit or the Las Vegas shooting or whatever. But nowadays, I've tried to move away from it. And now when you see something that's just so insane, just like, really, like they're just bombing all the meat plants in America so we can't eat and stuff. I mean, obviously we all hope that that's not actually happening so that we can, continue to live. But until it hits my front door or my front doorstep, I'm not really that concerned. And I'm really not that concerned about the gas prices. I know they're double what they were 2 years ago, but this happens all the time. Like in my entire lifetime, I've seen gas prices fluctuate up and down, up and down. It's all about inflation. So sadly, as Mahoney says, anybody that's got a phone or that has social media or whatever, you can put out any video you want. You can make up any narrative that you want. And if it goes viral, so to speak, then people are going to believe it. We could go out front of any building here in Deer Lodge and say, oh my God, 5G towers are exploding this guy's head, and Pat can squirt a fucking giant bottle of ketchup up behind his head. Ah! And people would believe that shit is true. So I'm not saying there's no truth to any conspiracies. I'm just saying we've gone a little overboard. And me personally, I've swung back on the pendulum where I'm like, I just kind of want to live my life, not worry about all this stupid bullshit.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Mahomes?
That's the pendulum I've been on for a long time because there's so much nonsense out there with people that have either free time or they want to manipulate other people into thinking the way they think or whatever reason they have to make it like that guy probably just put some dry ice in his mouth and then they made it seem like his head was exploding. Like that's just okay. I guess if that's what you want to do to like say, I don't know, you pranked the nation or whatever reason you have for doing it.
He probably actually died if he put dry ice in his mouth.
You know what? And all for the cause, man. All for the cause. I don't know. These were, as far as conspiracies go, I guess these were not as annoying as I was expecting. They typically annoy the shit out of me, and these were fun.
Yeah, I just like to say, I'm gonna sleep sound tonight. I'm gonna be stapling myself with a pajama, some pajamas and a sleeping bag to the closest 5G tower. I'm gonna have at least 20 vaccine shots laying right next to me and just sleep like a baby tonight.
And you would too. You'd be just fine.
Yeah, actually, you would 100% be fine. Yeah, I'd like I didn't back forth. I was someone who used to hate them and thought they were all dumb to someone that's like, oh, that's interesting, that's interesting. Then 2020 hit, and when 2020 hit, it was like I just focused on the actual facts of how ridiculously facts of some of what they're doing with the lockdowns and things of that nature is so fucking insane. But when it gets to like every single person, including your grandma, sending you fucking conspiracy theories on everything, it's just like, hey, I can look this up within like 5 seconds and disprove it. That's where it's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of out of this game. That's kind of, I get too much. It's like if it doesn't sound right from someone, I'm just like look it up almost instantly. I can be like, okay, that's like the person that Alec Baldwin shot on that set to start off our show. Immediately, I got like a meme or something that said, "It's weird that she was just about to uncover a gigantic pedophile ring, and then she was shot cold-blooded on the set."
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the go-to for like. It's either like pedophilia or like child or there's some tie with the government. It's just I don't know. It's lazy writing is what it is.
She was it's a documentary she's working on to expose pedophiles within Hollywood, and right before she was going to release it, she got shot and killed.
That's the exact same thing that I just read about Bourdain. Like basically, they just changed names of people.
Yeah. Who do you think? I guess my question: who do you think puts you? Do you think it's like fucking Russia or China putting these things out? Like
probably just to be like, let's see what they'll take. It's just basically Mad Libs of conspiracies that they're just changing names.
Yeah, because I don't think most of these are being put out by regular U.S. I think it's people overseas. Like, let's just fucking throw this out and see how many people buy into it.
Yeah.
Look, it's Israel. They're exposing for 5G towers.
Yeah. Well, it's like any of our ultra conservative friends, which you think you align with, and then you go out to a community function. I'll be like, yeah, what's up with this war in, Ukraine with the Russians? Oh, it's about to get a lot worse. Or, yeah, that's not actually going on. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit in my house and fucking watch Major League Baseball and not give a shit anymore.
Gary's referencing a time like 2 months ago, we were watching the truck rally go through the Trump truck rally that went through Canada or whatever, and we were just walking and we're talking to the guy and just having a casual conversation about politics. Like, yeah, can you believe there's people that actually think there's a war going on in Ukraine right now?
I was like, okay, someone's at a tea too many martinis.
Yeah, seriously.
High qualified government officials talking. Yeah, we got a reliable source here. Yeah, what's the name? Crackhead Joe Dirt.
All right, guys. That's it for tonight. Come back next week. We'll talk to Jennifer Love Hewitt and why she killed fucking Kurt Cobain.
Jennifer Love
Good night,
Hewitt.
kids.
Good night, kids.